When it comes to Africa, 3 years ago, the top management of OCP decided to create OCP Africa, 100% subsidiary of OCP Group, in order to be fully dedicated to the development of the agriculture on our continent. So our mission is to help the smallholder farmers in Africa to move from a subsistence agriculture to commercial and value-added agriculture.
Yeah. I understand there is a strategy that you are looking to put in place. Kindly help us learn more on this particular one.
Our strategy is to make the smallholder farmers living out of his activity. He needs to increase his revenue, and by increasing his revenue, we will also increase ours because we will accompany him and we will support him. But helping him to increase his yield is one thing, but this is not the final game because he needs to increase his revenue, but for increasing his revenue he needs to be linked to the market. So we are also offering him a set of services, and this is where OCP Africa OCP business model is pretty different than what we are used to do in the rest of the world. In Africa, we are not just a fertilizer provider or producer, we are agricultural solution provider to the farmers.
So, like you said, you help farmers to move from subsistence agriculture, which is still dominant across the continent, to modern agriculture. So talk to us about the impediments or the challenges you face in doing that.
The challenges we face is mainly to create this ecosystem around the farmer. So we try to bring all the actors of the value chain, the input producers, microfinance, insurance, mechanization, but more importantly, the output buyer, the one that will buy the production of the farmer. So by creating this ecosystem, which is not easy to do because each actor has his own interest, but we have been successful in Nigeria as well as in Ivory Coast. So we had some very successful initiative in that respect. And the more important thing is that this, let's say, economic model has to be sustainable. So no one has to subsidize anything, and we have to make it sustainable, and how we can say that. And this is something that could also be replicated elsewhere. This is how we will increase the revenue of the farmer.
So, like you said, transforming agriculture would require all actors in the value chain to come together. So, can you elaborate more on the importance of public-private partnership in transforming this sector?
This is something very important you mentioned here, because we will not be able to transform the agriculture of our continent if we do not have strong public-private partnership. And especially the one with the government, because if you want to have an impact on the continent, you need the support of the government. You need to work with them closely. But you need also the private sector, because at the end of the day, this is the private sector that will follow and make this model sustainable. So what we try to do here is to use the power and let's say the image of our group at an international level, and trying to talk with governments in one side, and most of the time they are asking us to come, you know, to help them to implement their agricultural policy, but also bringing some private sectors. We give a priority for local players because we have the philosophy that Africa has all the means, human means as well as natural resources, and we can do everything by African for African. So we promote the partnership with local players, as well as I said earlier, the strong partnership with governments.
You said most of the governments are just approaching you, asking you to come and help in implementing their policies. But this is contrary to some of the, arguments that governments are not willing, or there's no political will to promote agriculture, which is reflected by the, little spending to this particular sector. What do you think?
Actually, this is not true, because when you look at some figures in Africa, we know that between 70 to 80% of the African population are working in agricultural sectors. So for the governments, the smallholder farmers are very important for them, and it's, let's say, the main core of their election base. And I want also to correct the fact that I didn't say that the government are asking us to come to define their policy. No, we are just approach to work with them and to see how we can implement their own policy, their own agricultural policy, in a way that will make this implementation once again sustainable, without having any subsidy from the government, or low subsidies in the worst case. Okay, so we are here at the Africa CEO Forum, and we have also other events where we can notice that at the governmental levels there is more and more awareness, but also willingness to move forward and to transform the agriculture, because this is the key potential that our continent has for its social and economical development. And it's also one of the few sectors that can provide enough jobs for the youth population.